So as mentioned in this video, Are Men Evil by Tosin is Hungry. And I listened to it and it's definitely worth responding to because it's basically a lonely guy, got some female attention, and now he's willing to throw out his principles over it, right? So I'm going to debunk some of the things he puts forward.
All girls do is charge their phone, eat hot chips, and lie. I am currently being held at gunpoint by a friend of mine and have been
Hey.
commanded to
There she is. There's the one who's validating his existence. So that it'll explain the 180 he's doing right here.
tell you this. I'm not even sure what it's referencing. I am petrified. Okay, so during the summer of 2022, I was stuck alone in my house for months on end.
Loser.
I didn't have a car, I lived in the suburbs, so walking was pretty much undoable. That, coupled with a steadily rotting mental state, made it so that I spent an obscene amount of time on TikTok.
Really? Why didn't you just call up your friends and family? So your measuring stick of whether you're a loser or not is whether you were making enough money to own your own car. It's status, right? You couldn't get the car and then get the girl. But nothing forced you not to call up your friends and family.
And I don't just mean regular doom scrolling here. I mean waking up at 12 a.m. and not leaving my bed until 3 or sometimes even 5 p.m. Just wasting away on that godforsaken app in an excuse to not have to exist. Thankfully, I've long since deleted that vat of quicksand. But if you were on TikTok during the summer of 2022, then you were probably as deeply entrenched in the gender wars as I was.
That's a misnomer. A war which is just that there's two groups fighting. There isn't. There's women attacking men and men taking it.
Okay, you didn't spend eons on that app, so maybe you didn't. But believe me when I say that for those of us that exist outside of echo chambers, ironically enough, 1 minute you could be watching a woman ask why they don't make men that are also good people, and the next you're watching a grown-ass man quote future. It's me. I'm the grown-ass man. I'm sorry. It's hard to be sensitive to women's feelings when Chase a Check and Never Chase a Bitch was one of the catchiest bars of the past 10 years. In all seriousness,
Okay, this is a false equivalence right here. This is what's important to me and need debunking. I'm going to show you something. This right here, let's say right here, is a protest of a woman named Sarah Everhard was murdered by a man, and they decide to use that as a shoehorn to push the idea of a 6 o'clock curfew for the men of England. A man murdered a woman, therefore all men have their rights stripped away from them. I'm going to play a bit of it here, right? Let's get back here. Now remember, this is not just on the internet. This is Parliament and the police force.
Razzle reporting there. I'm joined now by the Labour peer Baroness Helena Kennedy QC and Deputy Chief Constable Sarah Glenn of Hampshire Police and of the National Police Chiefs Council.
National Police Chief Councils and an MP from the government are talking about stripping men of their rights. So this is institutionalized. So Tosin, tell me something, dude. Are men doing that to women? Are there men out here protesting in any country saying we want to make sure women don't get to walk the streets at night? There aren't, are there? You can't find them. So this is a false equivalence.
seriousness though, there were a lot, and I mean a lot, of back and forth between the men and women on that app, and a lot of it had genuine disdain behind it. People went from equating girl bosses to alpha males to platforming Jura Fualo and Andrew Tate. Obviously, I know those two aren't even remotely two sides of the same coin, but it just goes to show you how dramatic men can be, that this was arguably the pillar we rose next to theirs. And it really was.
So women are shit-talking men, And you're upset that men shit talk back? Why?
A war, for a lack of a better term. People were out for blood, and watching it as a depressed 19-year-old, this war gave me life. On hazy mornings, it sat there in my brain in place of a consciousness, and I ate that shit up. Obviously, this was very much post my incel right-wing phase, so I wasn't.
So why are you equating incels with right wing? There are no left wing incels, right? And what are you talking about a phase? Yeah, are you not an incel now that this young lady is talking to you? I mean, you do realize the official definition of incel is involuntary celibate, but you're not behaving like that. Women call men incels when men don't know their place, right? They don't know that they're supposed to be beneath women. So what you're admitting to is that you know your place.
Than Andrew Tate Cook. I actually thought he was a satire comedian at the time, but I was also ready to defend men at any point in time. Anytime I saw a woman talking trash or being what I would consider unfair, I would comment shit, stating the importance of being empathetic, even to those with societal power. I'd say.
So this is a phase you're past, right? Solidarity with men and saying men should have empathy. You're past that now. A woman is showing you some attention, so you're past solidarity. Well, you're quick to sell out any principles you might have had.
That men aren't deplorable people, that we have good hearts and even better minds, and then I'd scroll and see a man blaming miniskirts for sexual assault.
Okay, so you're using an extreme example of a particular guy you think is bad for all of us, right? And that's your out. That's your excuse for having no principles, no self-regard, and definitely no regard for your fellow man. Like to throw away your solidarity because the woman smiled at you. That's pathetic. Because you know something, Tosin, unlike you, I'm worried about some real important issues, like having my rights stripped away. Or how about into where men don't even get a chance to be attacked. This happens at birth when they don't even have the ability to say no, right? But you go on.
Imagine if they invented a man who was a good person. I don't even know how.
There's nothing that God. The thing that makes a good man is that he does what he doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to work and he works anyway. He doesn't want to go to war and he fights anyway. He doesn't want to.
So you're comparing or trying to compare Tate with that woman earlier. The woman said men aren't even human. Did Tate say that women aren't human? No. He advocated for male slavery. That if we don't want to work or war, we have to do it anyway. I mean, why are you debunking yourself in your own video?
So, in the aftermath of this era of my life, as I grew out of that fever dream of despair and isolation, as I deleted TikTok and tried to
Despair and isolation. In other words, some young lady, in this case, Intravel, probably paid attention to you. So, there goes your despair. Right. And your male solidarity. Right. Okay.
develop a life with real, tangible people, two things happened. One, I realized the gender wars were pretty much a solely online thing.
Well, you're full of shit because I'm proving you wrong right here, right? There's the gender war, the gender attack is what it is because both sides aren't fighting. There's the gender attack by women and other men against men. And it's not on the internet. These are the actual streets of London. These people are sitting physically together. So this is not the internet. So you're just plain out wrong. You're flat out wrong. And you know something, Tosin? Again, where's the male equivalent of this against the women? So it's not a war. There's no one fighting back. Matter of fact, where are all the good girls out there that aren't in the streets of London protesting against these protesters, saying you can't strip the rights of men? You can't strip the rights of all the male population because of what one man did. Where are those women? They're nowhere, Tosin. So again, there's no war. There's just women attacking men.
And IRL, all genders tend to be pretty chill with one another. And
In real life, they tend to be chill. Yes, they tend to be chill as long as men know their place, right? For example, my sisters and I really get along. We're like gangbusters. I can't wait till they show up and we have game night. But if I start talking about men's issues, which means I'm talking against female privilege, they get the guns out. There's a chance I could be disowned. Because they get along with me as long as they know that I know my place as a second-class citizen beneath them. So if you're chill with some woman, you know your place.
two, I've begun to display tendencies of what the internet refers to as a pick-me, sort of.
I would say Uncle Tom.
I noticed anytime I saw a woman performing well in a male-dominated space, think the amazingly talented Nerdforge or streamers like Pokimane and whatnot, I would
You think Pokimane is talented? That's a very bad example.
have these tendrils of thought where I'd assume the only reason they got big was because the men were horny for them. And I
Well, if you're going to make that argument, don't mention Pokimane. Because that's exactly what she is. She's that stereotype you're talking about. And there's all kinds of videos pointing out what a terrible person she is. And the only reason she got famous is that she showed her body off. But she's actually a terrible person who has no respect for her male subs. Right? If they say anything critical at all, she calls them misogynist. So, dude, why would you bring up that stupid example? It actually works against you.
cannot stress this enough. I didn't think this because I thought the women weren't fucking fantastic at their jobs. The reason why I kept thinking this was because of my churning, misguided hate for other men. I couldn't subscribe to a world where a man would watch content by a woman for any other reason than the lustful variety. Basically,
How, dude, you just admitted that you ditched male solidarity because one guy said something off-putting. So how do you not hate men?
saying I couldn't believe men could be decent human beings. Why? I do and did watch female creators all the time. Did I just think that I was better than them? Well, here's the thing. I know the kind of journey I had to go through to become a somewhat decent person to be around. I know the kind of thoughts and behaviors I had in my middle and high school years. My incel phase lasted way longer than most guys I know.
Are you trying to say you're not an incel anymore? You were picked by some woman? Right. What he means, guys, is his incel phase is he didn't know his place, and now he does, right?
And I can't help but be insecure about that. Here were these men, millions of them, freed from the girls have cooties mentalities of their youths, some of them never even going through that phase and just enjoying life. I couldn't handle that. The mortification and embarrassment.
Tell me, how can these guys just go about and enjoy their lives if they aren't allowed to walk the streets at night? Right? So this idea of this just being an attitude is just bullshit.
Of some of the things I've said to the women in my life, many of which were intensely kind to me, still haunt me till this day. They break through my guards like sunbeams spilling through closed blinds. And so I projected And I gave no slack to these men, and I projected, and I projected, and projected. And before I knew it, my words and thoughts sounded no less misogynistic than those of the men I was criticizing. A lot of us are doing the same thing, men and women. Men who can't forgive themselves, and women who can't forgive men, all vilifying.
So men can't forgive themselves and women can't forgive men. There's none of this men can't forgive women. Wow, you really know your place, dude. You really know your place.
The guy who just wants to watch Nerd Forge build a robot or be happy that he's having a son. Don't get me wrong.
Dude, these guys like Nerd Forge, you know yourself, there are live streamers, right? There are game streamers, male, that were accused, falsely accused by women, and it destroyed their career. One guy even committed suicide. So again, it's not an attitude that men can say, oh, I'll just behave myself and I'll just love life the way I always wanted to. It's not in their hands, it's not in your hands. Right? Like, if that's your attitude, what are you saying to the intactivists? Are you saying that intactivists should just pack up and leave and say, I don't care that male babies are being tortured and their sexuality is destroyed? You know, why can't we all just get along? Right?
Misogyny is real. Anyone who tells you otherwise is a fool, and anyone who tells you it isn't as common as the flu is an even bigger one. But I found that when
Well, I guess I'll be a fool then, because again, dude, these are women trying to strip the rights away from men. And you don't see a male equivalent doing that to women. So misogyny isn't real. Men worship women. You're a perfect example. You sold out your male solidarity because a woman pays attention to you. Men worship women. And you hate men just as much as you always hated them.
look for the demons in other people and see nothing, we end up putting hours in them just to have something to yell at. This form of masculinity is born out of insecurity, which is what gave rise to the performative, redundant circus show that is the quote-unquote men's rights activism, a la City Crusher, and his constant comparison of misandry to MLK and the civil rights movement. That wasn't a joke, by the way.
Yeah, that really pissed you off. In case if anyone didn't hear, I compare misandry with the men's rights, with the civil rights movement, because it's completely comparable. What were this men's rights movement talking about, right? Or the civil rights? They were black men wanting to be equal to white men, right? And here, why? Because the white men were stripping the rights away from black men, or they didn't have them in the first place. And this is what's going on with men in general, see? So what you're saying is that you have solidarity with your race, but not your gender, right? That's why you don't like the comparison, even though it's completely comparable. Men are being oppressed on a legal and political level. Fact. And you're willing to sell your fellow man out, right? So if a white man is after you, you're willing to get together with your fellow black man and fight back. But when white women want to hang you, you say, show me the rope.
Incels are entertaining, to say the least. Now,
Are you trying to tell me you're entertaining?
surprisingly, my audience is apparently 100% men. So guys, if you're watching, bring your ladies over, because they're about to hear a man's secret. I'm kidding. I know you have no ladies. Bring your sisters.
Wow. So your content is watched by 100% males. So is mine, but you know what I say? I say that's fantastic. I've got an audience. I don't need any women in my audience, dude. So like I say, when men worship women, you're a perfect example. You've got a perfect male audience, not good enough for you. You want women around, right? That's why I say misogyny doesn't exist.
Here's mine.
What's up, you woman-hating losers? Just kidding, not really. In this world,
Just kidding, not really. So this is your friend, eh? Your new pal, who's a definite man hater. Right.
Of man versus woman, all you can really do is join the non-binaries and cheer on the sidelines. When you're
Okay, you're full of shit. There is no non-binaries on the sidelines. Trans people are attack dogs against straight men in the LGBTQ. That's just a fact. The lesbians rule. They are against men, and the trans take their marching orders from them. They're not on the sidelines. So don't even try and pretend that.
being haunted with so much content from either side, it's hard to decide who's right, who's wrong, and who's in need of a full body shower. Unfortunately,
Well, you better take a shower then. Because I know for a fact who's right and wrong. I know what gender is attacking the other and not the other way around. Right? So we know you're biased and it's more horseshit. So I'm going to get right by this chick. We'll see if there's anything left for this guy to say.
On Twitter seem to have this burning hatred for the women they regularly jack off to. Why they'll insult and degrade a woman they would give their left nut to spend a night or hell even a day with.
Sexual desire has nothing to do with whether the person's a good person or not. Like I said, Pokimane is a terrible person, but lots of guys lust after her, right? Women are the same way with men. Andrew Tate got all kinds of female attention, dude. Know that.
Men know how much power they have relinquished over to women. We know that, and it terrifies us.
Well, dang, thanks for admitting everything. So you're admitting you've handed power over to women, so you're powerless as a man now. But it's not handing power over that's the problem. It's what they do with their power. And what do women do with the power that men give them? They use it to attack men. That's what they do. Oh my God, they're showing Parliament again, right? This is a political, legal attack to oppress men in England. It didn't go through, it did pass, but they're working on it. So it shows intent. So for a fact, women are attacking men and men aren't attacking back.
We carry around all that hate and regret and fear, but our hands are too small to hold it all, so it ends up spilling over onto
Okay, this is bullshit. This is, why can't we all get along? Because one side hates the other. That's why. Tosin. So would you do me a favor? Don't mention me in your videos again. Because you do, I'll just come and embarrass you. Thank you.